Ready? Okay, welcome everyone to the community forum here at St. Demetrius Greek Orthodox Church. Just a welcome, go through some housekeeping tips that we have going. We want everyone to stay healthy and safe, so masks on at all times. Chairs will remain as they are set up. This is set up for the 6-foot social distancing. Speakers may need to remove their masks just to answer a question, but they'll go back right on. We will also do any type of interpretation for non-English speakers as needed. Restrooms are in the hallway by the entrance. That's always information everybody wants to know. We want to say some special thank yous this evening to Father Nicholas of the St. Demetrius Church and his community. Whenever we ask, he says yes. We've used this hall for our community neighborhood crime watch meetings. We've attended your festivals to do Kids ID, so it feels like home. And we want to present you with a certificate and thank you for your continued support. We work together to build a stronger community, and we look forward to doing that in the future. So I will.
Good evening, Reverend. I'm Commander Criado of the Northwest Division. I just pulled my mask down so you could recognize me. And we appreciate everything that you do for the police department and the community. And we wanted to give you a token of our appreciation from the chiefs, myself, and the entire staff of the Fort Worth Police Department.
We also want to thank the staff for the Oak Street Health Clinic at the front door. They're helping take temperatures as people are coming in. Oak Street is new to the Northwest Division, down on it, correct me, Ephraim? Okay. And they serve the Medicare population. So we're really trying to help them reach out to our community because that's yet another resource for our citizens. So thank you for attending. Pick up an information bag as you're leaving. They have some goodies. I want to call attention to there are bags on the table that have some information about crime prevention programs. As the crime prevention specialist that I'm over, also some pretty tasty Fort Worth PD cookies. I can attest to 5 of them were great today that I had. And also some individual hand sanitizer. We really, really want to make sure our community's safe, and that hand sanitizing and wearing the masks and social distancing are the 3 things that we all can do to make sure we're healthy and safe. Thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Commander Criado.
I'll take this opportunity again. I'll just introduce myself again as Commander Pedro Criado of the Northwest Division. And I'll just let the chiefs, we'll go one by one and let them do a self-introduction to themselves.
My name is Neil Noakes. Very proud to be the newly appointed Chief of Police for the Fort Worth Police Department. And what makes me so proud are the officers that we have on this department that are serving every single day, the citizens in areas and communities just like this. We have great civilian employees and volunteers, and we have great connections with the community as evidenced by the use of this beautiful space. And we thank you again so much, Reverend, for allowing us to use it. And I want to say one last thank you to Commander Criado. In the time of COVID, we're having a really difficult time being able to reach the community the way that we want to, but he found a way virtually with an in-person option to make sure we are extending every opportunity we can to connect with the community. and I appreciate you doing that, sir. I appreciate your leadership.
I'm Deputy Chief Joe Sparrow, and I'm over North Command, which includes North Division, West Division, Northwest Division, and Traffic. I am Commander Criado's direct supervisor, and he and his officers are doing an excellent job here. We appreciate this church allowing us to use it here, and the citizens in this area. Citizens in this area are always active and involved in their community, and that's what makes a good community. A good community is made through the citizens caring about their community and working with us to be able to act as guardians in your community. So we thank you for that, and God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carlos Flores, and I'm the City Council member representing District 2, your neighborhood here. It's been my pleasure to do that in my capacity to help improve our area, and as it's been said before, that takes partnerships, with you, with the community residents. And that's what we want to encourage through, community policing. It's more than just a program, it's a mindset. And I can attest to you that our men and women in blue do live that and really work to achieve that every day, because it takes effort to establish that trust in our communities. And that's how we make safe communities. So firmly behind the men and women here. Again, my congratulations to our new police chief, Neil Noakes. I've known him for years. He works hard, just like everyone else in our police department, and he's going to lead us in the direction we need to go and continue the fine traditions of the Fort Worth Police Department. Thank you for being here, and I wanted to let everyone else know I've been in touch with a few people that are on their way. So thank you, those that are here.
I'm Lieutenant Smith. I'm over the narcotics section of the Fort Worth Police Department. And before we get, let me give out the tips number now. I think that's kind of most people want. It's if you have a narcotics issue, the number is 817-378-1500.
I'm Sergeant Randy Molina, the Northwest Division NPO for Charlie and David District. So say hi to everybody.
Hey, I'm Lieutenant Hill. I'm with the Vice section and the Canine section. Real quick, what we do is we deal with the main thing that we would do in this area specifically is dealing with game rooms, which I know is a problem within the city, and we're dealing with it as fast as we can. But unfortunately, these things they're multiplying at a pretty good click. So we're putting our heads together to try to figure out the best way to deal with these. But real quick, I just wanted to say that this is a phenomenal division to live in and to work in. I grew up just a couple of miles down the street from here, cut my teeth as a patrol officer here, and then a few years back I was able to come back and work for the commander as a patrol lieutenant in the same area. I know that Kiki grew up over here, Randy grew up over here, Carlos lives here. Steve lives in the division a little further out off, a little further, deep. But you've got people that work here that care about this community because they got family here. They have roots here. So y'all live in a phenomenal division. I was fortunate enough to work over here on several different occasions and different ranks. So I was hoping to have more people here, but I know due to COVID. This will get better. The first one that we had last year was phenomenal. The one over off North Main. So I have no doubt that this will continue to grow.
I'm Lieutenant Header. I'm a patrol lieutenant up here. I've been a sergeant and a lieutenant for about the last 10 years working this area. So happy to be here.
Lieutenant Antoine Williams. I'm over the gang section. The gang section consists of our CIU and Intel, as well as our prevention, intervention, and enforcement, and we have 2 enforcement teams. The hours of operation are usually from 6 p.m. to 4 in the morning. I brought a couple of cases to show what we do over in this area. Also, the gangs that we deal with over in the Northwest Division. So if y'all would like, I could elaborate on that at a later time and give it back to the command staff.
At this time, we'd like to open it up. If anybody has any questions for the panel, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. If you need some time to think about it, we can go over some other things. Does anybody have a question at this moment they'd like to ask? Oh, I'm sorry, Dorothy's getting them. Well, while Dorothy's gathering up some of the questions, I'd like to just make an announcement to the people here and the people watching, just a little advice. BMVs, which are burglaries or motor vehicles, they occur throughout the city. Violent crime in this division is down. However, we do have property crimes that are occurring on a regular basis, and a lot of those can be prevented, especially the car vehicle burglaries, by locking your vehicle, securing, don't leave in valuable items in your vehicle, that sort of thing, and don't leave your vehicle running with the keys in it either. So I just want to give you guys a little information that'll help us out. The first question here is, I didn't bring my readers, but I'm going to do my best. I was in denial for a little while, but I need them and I forgot them. I'll try without them. What is the status of the activity in Rockwood Park? This is a two-part question, so I'll tackle that question first and foremost. Rockwood Park, for those of you that aren't familiar with the division, is just right here to the west of us. And it's a city park where there's baseball fields, and I believe there's still soccer fields. There used to be soccer fields. It's a baseball field, softball fields. Some of the issues we've been having there as of late is a congregation of car clubs, truck clubs, vehicles congregating, burning tires, which bleeds out into the main arteries of 199 Northside Drive and University. We've even had fatalities due to racing here on University Drive, leading up to Northside Drive and 199. I can say that we've conducted several units. I'll speak in generality, and then I'll let the sergeant elaborate as far as numbers are concerned pertaining to that question. We've conducted several details different times of the day when we feel the officers or the clubs are congregating. We also, not only the special details, in addition to that, we have the midnight officers and evening shift officers. We pull from the existing resources that we have. We know we're all pulled from all angles, but we do what we can to solve the issues that we have in our division. I know that during the details I've asked and I've apprised the citizens and Carlos Flores, as well as the chiefs, that one of the things that I think was effective in the past at another location where I worked and we're having those issues was, if we see those on-view offenses of reckless driving, which I know is a Class B misdemeanor, I believe, it's an arrestable offense. We can pull them over. We can arrest if we have to, write the citations we have to, and if we make an arrest, due to that arrest, we'll tow the vehicle. We did that on several occasions, and it was effective. Of course, it stopped for a while, subsided for a while, but then it picked back up. We're continuing those details with the help of Carlos Flores, and I'll give him a chance to elaborate on that as well. We've been able to coordinate with other divisions within the city to assist us with maybe putting up speed bumps, those kind of things to curtail that type of activity and prevent it. I'll let Sergeant Molina elaborate a little bit more because he's got some numbers as far as all the details that we ran, and he has them in hand, so I'd like for him to go over that, and then we'll tackle the second part of the question after Carlos Flores gets a chance to speak as well.
All right. In regards to the reckless driving at Rockwood Park, over the last few months, we've made 12 arrests for reckless driving and impounded 12 vehicles in regards to that. We've also, for the last possibly year and a few months, I've been also working with the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation go out to the location, meet with them, make suggestions in regards to bump stops being placed in Rockwood Park. And that has been going on for the last year. But finally, they actually are putting it out for bid right this month. In February, the bid will be opening. In March, they're going to award the bid to whoever the construction company is that will do it. And that construction will start this April to October, which should eliminate the reckless driving there at Rockwood Park. And that's pretty much it for the Rockwood stuff right now.
As Sergeant Molina said, and he covered it pretty accurately, when police noticed that there was an ongoing issue, repeated instances of people congregating there with their cars, doing donuts, burnouts, etc., that takes a lot of attention, and it draws from those police resources that can be better utilized somewhere else. So that's what initiated the police, talking to my office, talking to the Parks Department, to find a better solution that would deter that kind of activity. As Sergeant Molina indicated, that's going to involve, and also Commander Criado referenced, the use of speed bumps within that parking lot. Concrete islands as well has been talked about by the parks, anything to deter that kind of activity, because right now you just basically have a lot of flat open space there with the asphalt parking lot, which draws people in. But I do have to commend Fort Worth PD for trying to respond to these things, and it's very difficult to make arrests. Let me emphasize that when an officer shows up at the scene, you're talking many vehicles. For example, one night that I had called Sergeant Molina as I was driving by another location, which is the old ball field there, and where they're doing the river project, right? The old Cat Stadium. Even that parking lot gets visited a lot by these, car clubs, these aficionados, and they gather in mass. I remember one night that Sergeant Molina was there first at the scene. Well, as soon as he got there, they scattered, but he still managed to pull someone over and make an arrest. That kind of activity, again, is very difficult, to take care of. So we have to think outside the box and find ways where we can utilize other methods so we don't have to draw police away from more urgent calls.
I'm going to go ahead and Melinda had a second part to her question, but I'm going to hold off on that since we have a couple other questions related to the speeding there along West Long Avenue, Councilman Flores. I would just say to Roxanne that yes, we're aware of it. We're pulling in a myriad of resources, including traffic, the MPOs, which of course you Officer Ben Wright, you got an outstanding MPO that works over the Diamond Hill area, and he was put there for a reason. He does an outstanding job. So we're putting our heads together along with Councilman Flores to come up with a long-term solution, because we know we put stop sign, with the help of Carlos Flores, we had stop signs put up at one of the specific intersections where I grew up in that area. So yes, I've seen accidents since I was a young kid there in that same general area. So the stop signs slowed it down a little bit. I believe the racing incidents there on Long have been isolated. I think with us tackling these car clubs and getting ahead of it, I don't want to divulge too much information. I don't want to educate the bad part of the public on what we're doing, but we're trying to get ahead of it to see where they're going to be so that we can prevent this from happening. But as far as West Long, we're still looking to other things that we can put there, maybe stoplights, more speed humps, what have you. But yes, we need to get it to stop.
And let me add to what Commander Criado shared. As many of you may have heard, there was a fatality accident there on East Long that was a result of speeding. An 18-year-old hit another 18-year-old entering the intersection and caused that. It's very tragic. It's sad. We take it very seriously. The fact of the matter is, no matter how many traffic improvements the city is able to make, bad or irresponsible behavior by drivers will always cause an accident. But we do our best to try to make things safer. The TPW program, the Transportation Public Works Department of the city, has a Vision Zero program, which is trying to reduce the likelihood of accidents in dangerous intersections or roadways. Once this program was implemented, the city started to look at various places across the districts and find and identify where you have increased number of accidents, like on Long Avenue, West and Long Avenue. They're taking a comprehensive approach to studying what other safety measures can be implemented there along that roadway. They're still studying it. I've had a lot of people outreach to me and ask for specifics. They say, we want stop signs put in there. We want a traffic light put in there. I've even heard a roundabout, which is really not feasible, to be quite honest. But the TPW department is taking a comprehensive approach. I want to emphasize that this is, again, not an isolated incident. What the police department is seeing, and what we're seeing across the country, unfortunately, is an uptick in these kind of activities, in speeding and in street racing. It takes, again, a lot of manpower to try to control it, but we need to help them by making these good improvements on our roads, and we're going to continue to do that. And I just ask for continued forbearance, that we are aware, of these issues, and we're trying to address them as best we can.
I'll continue with Heather's question, since it's related to speeding as well there in Ohio Garden, between Jacksboro and Quail Ridge. I received that email. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for the email, because if we're not informed, then we don't know what's happening. I will say that we have MPO Officer Moncada that's assigned to that area. He's been made aware of it. He's on it. Once again, when we have racing issues, speeding issues, we do apprise traffic of what's going on. But we know they're inundated with complaints. It's no excuse, so we don't sit on our hands. I just want to reassure you that we don't sit on our hands. We'll take our own personnel, pull from the resources we have in patrol if we need to. We can pull detectives, put them in uniforms, put them in the vehicles to monitor those stop signs or just that main artery for speeding. We have radars as well that we can check out. So we're coming up with a solution to prevent that from happening on those times and days that were emailed in.
I do want to thank also in the audience here, Ms. Marileno. Thank you for making an outreach to me, for making me aware of that incident that happened this last Friday. Again, if the police department doesn't know about it, they can't address it. But we need citizens like yourself that help us, who are eyes and ears out there. If they see something, report it. Even if you think it may not be that important, it's better to get ahead of it. So thank you very much.
Now back to the second part of Melinda's question, in reference to burglary activity in the neighborhoods. She states that they seem to be up, and are there more patrols in the area? I can say yes. That I will say this, that property crimes are up. Burglaries, I haven't seen a trend probably in the last 3 months, but they do occur. And I just want to encourage the citizens that are watching and here today, if there's a burglary, please encourage your neighbor to report it, because once again, if we don't know what's happening, we have to know what's happening or we can't do anything about it. I will say that with the detectives, the CIU units there within the division, what we're trying to do is focus on prolific offenders. What we do is we try to focus on the individuals that are known prolific burglars. We check them on a weekly basis, because one specifically right now that targets this division, he's in jail. So I make sure that the sergeants that are over the detectives monitor those individuals. We don't want to just sit there and try to overwhelm the neighborhood with police officers or come in there as a force. Instead, we want to focus on the individuals that are causing the crimes. And most of those individuals are in and out of jail. So when they get out of jail, then we monitor them to make sure that they're not in our city, specifically our division, committing burglaries. In addition to that, we have had several details. Most of our property crimes occur in David District, which is further north. I'll give Lieutenant Heder a chance to speak a little bit about. He's the patrol district lieutenant for David District, which is north of the Loop, and I'll let him elaborate on some of the things that they're doing in that area.
Right on. In David District, a lot of our burglaries are going to be vehicle burglaries. got the kids walking around the neighborhoods late at night. Like the painters stated before, it's real important. Take stuff out of your cars. Don't leave your purse, your cell phone, cash, loose change. Leave them sitting visible in your car. Lock your doors. A lot of these kids will just go pull on the doors, go through your glove box, and take whatever's in there. We had, I believe, over 20 vehicle burglaries last spring at the start of COVID. Officer Salazar, my NPO, was quick on it, caught the trend as it was starting up. Got a lot of the Ring doorbell camera footage. They were able to identify some of the people committing the crimes, and a SRT unit came out and hit the house in Saginaw, and were able to make an arrest and recovered a good bit of property. Something else we're seeing is construction theft. We've got a lot of new neighborhoods going on up in David District, and so we have a lot of construction materials that are dropped off in the evening and picked up by someone driving around at night. We've got the NPOs working details and working off-duty jobs for the contractors to try and set up and catch some of these people.
Yes, absolutely.
To piggyback on what Lieutenant Herrer said, just remember there's things that you can do about crime. Police can't be everywhere at once. We can only do really well if you help us. So there's layers of protection. Like he said, if you leave something in your car that's visible that anybody considers to be valuable to them, they don't mind going in your car and taking it. They'll break a window for that. But in most cases, like he said, they just go around and check the handles to see if cars are open, and then they'll rummage around and see what they can find. So if you take the precautions of removing things that are visible from your vehicle, locking doors, and if you can, put it in the garage. And neighbors, I mean, it's good to have nosy neighbors. When people care, crime goes down. And one of the reasons why people do things is because they feel that they can get away from it. People do things when people aren't watching, when people don't say anything. But if you see something, say something. If you see something suspicious going on, call us. Call 911, report it. Because those things are very important. There are things that you can do about crime. Just understand something. We'll never have enough police officers to be everywhere at once. It would be wonderful. I know Chief Notes would love to put a police officer on every corner, but that's just not going to happen. So if you can help us and be our eyes and ears, start neighborhood watch programs, get involved in Code Blue. There are many things that you can do to help combat crime and to help us out. We get into law enforcement because we care and we want to help. Every police officer that hires on want to make a difference. When you ask them that when they're being interviewed, that's the thing that they say, we want to make a difference. So help us help you in that sense. I know that sounds cliche, but we really want to help you. We want safe neighborhoods. We live and we work in these communities, so we care. And so don't ever think that we don't.
Just to reiterate a little bit and then segue into some other information is the neighborhood watches, as the chief stated. We have citizens on patrol we can get involved in. In addition to that, every division has a crime prevention specialist. Ours is Dorothy, and she does an outstanding job coordinating with the citizens, coordinating programs like forums like this and programs for the youth. You have one in every division, so not just here in Northwest. There's a myriad of programs that you can get involved in. I would suggest you go to our website as well. We have a revamped website with a lot of drop-down menus. You familiarize yourself. If you're still a little shy to get involved or reach out to your MPO, just peruse through that website. There's a lot of information, tons of information. We have in addition, another thing you can do as far as the burglaries in your neighborhood is cameras. A lot of people have cameras. Register your cameras. Get a hold of your MPO, your crime prevention specialist. Register your home cameras. Get your Ring. We have the Ring program as well. We can have our RTCC folks monitor those cameras. If you register and give permission to the city, we can monitor those cameras as well as in addition to the city cameras that are already around the city. So I wanted to touch on that.
And those are good points, and I'll just jump in there. I may have missed it. Flock, cameras, are also another thing, but there is a cost to buy in, and they're, I think, strictly speaking, therefore license plate reading, if I'm not mistaken, right, Commander? So that's another option, and Dorothy Tyler can to tell you about that, after the meeting.
We can't stress enough for you guys to ask questions. That's what we're here for. We serve you. We serve the community. We work for you. So please don't hesitate. And if you have neighbors that are shy or they're still somewhat afraid of the police, please reach out to us. Let us know. Maybe you can coordinate a meeting, facilitate that meeting between us and that neighbor that doesn't want to reach out. We'll come to them. We won't wear a uniform. Whatever we need to do to get the neighbors to trust us, build that trust, foster relationships. That's what it's about, because we can't do this job alone. We need each and every one of the citizens within our division, within our city. And that's what makes this police department better, is working in conjunction with the people we serve. We can't do it alone. I'll move on to the next question from Roxanne. Is the homeless population increasing in our area? I will say that we have homeless camps within our division here in Northwest Roxanne, and I can tell you that other parts of the city have a lot more. But nonetheless, we have camps here, we have issues, we've tackled them head on, we've come up with a solution. I've utilized existing patrol officers, pulled from the existing resources, and they focused on a daily basis on the homeless camps. I can tell you during COVID, it slowed down. I'm planning on picking it back up again, designating 2 individuals from patrol if I have to, once again, get them trained up. We also have a HOPE program that Sergeant Molina is going to elaborate on. But I will say this, we take an educational approach first. We don't just get out there and try to enforce, arrest people. We try to educate and find out what the root cause is, the root problem, why they're on the street, and offer them and try to direct them to the services that are out there for them to get them off the street. Of course, we know some individuals are out there by choice. Some may be having medical issues, but we're trying to help them. That's the first approach, is to get out there, find out what the issue is, and get them in compliance, get them help. Arresting is always the last resort. Nobody can arrest themselves out of a problem. The city can't arrest themselves. The police department can't just arrest to get rid of a problem. So we have to find the root cause, just like in any situation, find out what the root cause is to solve it. With that, I'll let Sergeant Molina elaborate a little bit more as far as the homeless population.
All right. My MPOs have been working pretty diligently with the homeless. If y'all have any problems, get a hold of your MPO. If you don't know who it is, get a hold of me after the meeting, and we can figure out who that is for you. So you can shoot them an email and let them know. We've been getting emails for several homeless camps. They go out there, try to take care of it. We've also reached out to the HOPE team, which is basically a citywide team for the police department, which they deal with the homeless directly. And then they'll come out and assist, provide resources to the homeless population. That way they can actually get help and not have to go to jail. If they have these camps set up where they're not supposed to, we're working with code enforcement and with the HOPE team to get these locations moved, taken down. And we also have the options to put them into shelters or housing as well. We've also, Ben Wright, my Charlie 14 guy, has also been working with the JPS outreach team, who goes out and provides resources to them if they want it. But most of the ones that we've been dealing with don't want the help, which kind of gives us that problem where they're just moving from one location at a camp down the street to another one, and it kind of starts the process all over where we have to give them the warnings and then they move the camp again. We've also been working with JPS's MHMR groups as well. They've also been coming out, providing resources to them. One of the NPOs just told me several of the major a large major homeless group of 2 or 3 individuals that have been coming up and down Main Street, just got housing, and they're off the streets now because of these programs. So we're out here trying to help. So if you do have these problems, get a hold of us via email or call or in person, and we'll definitely come out and help you out on these. You have to let us know first.
Let me add a little something to that. You know, the police aren't the only solution to the homelessness issue. It's too large, and there's no one cause for homelessness. But we have found ways to deal with it. As Sergeant Molina alluded to, housing is a big aspect of that, specifically permanent supportive housing. It's called PSH. Well, what has the city done in that regard? The city has put in substantial investments in that, along with partner agencies like DRC, the Salvation Army, Fort Worth Housing Solutions. For example, Casa de Esperanza, which is basically Hope Home. That's a new redevelopment of an old motel that's already offering 119 PSH units. So we're taking that many people off the streets and giving them a chance to have a very nice place to live with those basic amenities that many of us take for granted, that they've never had. So that's going to help uplift them. And we want to do that, as the name suggests, on a permanent basis. Here, closer to home, in District 2, there's a very special project that's going to be breaking ground pretty soon. It's off Jacksboro Highway, and it's called New Leaf. That's going to introduce 44 PSH units to the area, and it's going to be close to Walmart, to food restaurants, things like that, things that you would want close by to you to help support a good lifestyle for you, something comfortable. It's received very good reception from the surrounding neighborhood. Really proud of that, because really that is the only way we're going to resolve the homeless problem gradually, not just through police enforcement, because that's not supportable. We have to think of other ways to do it. We continue to make investments in that regard.
Thank you, Carlos. I want to add a little more tidbit of information here as well. I was speaking about burglaries and the website. For the people watching, people here, in your neighborhoods, if a street light's out, don't drive by it, please report it. If a stop sign's knocked over, damaged, please report it. Little things lead to bigger things. So if we see something minor, let's get it fixed. It's your neighborhoods. We need to care about the neighborhoods. They belong to you, not the bad guys, not the people that are causing the damage. What I wanted to say was, for those of you that have smartphones, there's an app called My Fort Worth app, and I can tell you that I use it myself. The MPOs use it. It's monitored. You get answered. You can monitor your complaint. They reach out to you. You can be anonymous. Download that app, My Fort Worth app. You can report high grass. Your neighbor's not cutting their grass. A vehicle's been stored on the street. The lights are out. Anything you can think of, you can report it on that app. And every complaint gets read, and we take action, and it gets done. And it's timestamped, dated, when the complaint's worked, when it's completed, and what they've done. You can monitor it on your phone. You don't even have to give your name. So once again, I highly encourage you to get on the website just to get familiar with all the other programs and applications that the police department has. But the My Fort Worth app is outstanding. I have it on my phone, and I utilize it as well. If I'm driving down the street and I see something, even if I'm not at work and I think it needs to get reported, I put it on there, and it gets taken care of. I mean, it works really great. I guess anybody else have any questions, any more questions? Dorothy, if not, we can move on with some other information while you're checking. I want to give, I'll start off with Vice, if Lieutenant Hill lets me talk a little bit about another issue that's been a problem, not just here in the division, but probably in the city and other cities and other PDs that are having the issue with some game rooms. I can tell you that with game rooms, the issues we've had is the fact that a lot of those game rooms attract Part 1 crimes. But those game rooms come people that like to stay up all night that are more than likely on drugs. It can lead to robberies. It can lead to violent crime, aggravated assaults, because we've had them here in the division. We had a trend not too long ago in the last couple of weeks with robberies, game room robberies, stabbings out in front of the game rooms. I can tell you that we have in the past when Lieutenant Hill was the district lieutenant here. On a regular basis, he was running game room details. We had our special response team monitoring the game rooms. We have, we're just monitoring. We're keeping an eye on them to prevent those crimes from occurring. And we've started those inspections once again on a weekly basis, I'm sorry. We pick different days of the week and we're at different times of the day, and we're monitoring those game rooms for compliance. Make sure that they're in compliance. If they're not in compliance, then we do what we have to do. Once again, we try to take an educational approach first and foremost, but if we come back again and the issues are reoccurring and they're violating city ordinance or law, then it's last resort and we have to do what we have to do. I'll let Sergeant Molina give you some statistics, some numbers on some of the recent details that we ran, and I believe it's been successful. It immediately curtailed the crime that was occurring, the small trend that we had, and we're going to continue it because we don't want those type of crimes occurring, and we're going to make sure these game rooms are in compliance.
Yeah, real quick, just to piggyback off the game room issues, like the commander said, and I talked about this earlier, these game rooms are popping up all over the city. It's a very lucrative, illegal, source of income for these folks. So it's kind of a slippery slope when you're dealing with the game rooms, because the game rooms themselves, there are a handful of locations in the city, and they're growing probably monthly. They're actually getting permits to operate as game rooms through the city. Now, what makes the illegal is whenever they start paying out money or with merchandise from the game room or the store. That's when the illegal part comes into play. So whenever these locations, they get a permit through the city, they're getting the permit to operate as for amusement only. So it's no different than going into putt-putt golf and games and playing video games, basically. Whenever you start paying out money, that's when it becomes illegal. And like the commander said, these places, it's a watering hole, a gathering place for criminal activity. You can go into a game room and you can see the 80-year-old retired couple sitting there, just having fun, just gambling away. And right next to him, you got a guy that's hopped up on meth and has 3 felony warrants. So it's an odd situation with the clientele that go into these places. You get them from all walks of life. So we are trying to come up with a more permanent solution to the game rooms. What we're doing right now, our hands are kind of tied, and it's not working. It attacks the people that work the game rooms, which is someone that's coming off the street and making $5-6 an hour to sit behind the countertop and pay these folks out. So whenever we go in and we arrest these folks, the owner of the location could care less. They get the next person off the street, they come right back in the next day, and they're still open for business. So until we find a way to start, and I don't mean this to physically, we're not physically trying to hurt somebody, but until we start trying to financially hurt the owners of the establishment, it's going to be tough to make a dent into it. But we're doing the best we can. You've got one of the most active NPO sergeants and the NPOs, the officers in the whole city. They do a phenomenal job at getting out and doing these inspections and going through and trying to take care of business with these game rooms. But again, even as active as they are, I'm sure Sergeant Molina can elaborate on this. They can go back the next week, maybe even the next day, and they're open for business again. So we're trying to figure out a more permanent solution to the game rooms. We'll just have to kind of see where the law allows us to operate at. So.
Yes, like Lieutenant Hill and the commander had mentioned, me and my MPO has been working diligently with these game rooms to get them addressed. We're constantly working with them to enforce the Tarrant County game room regulations, which is basically a rule set if they have 6 or more games. You can look it up online. It went into effect April 1st of 2020. We're making the enforcement on these at these game rooms that are open. And basically in the last few months, we've run several handfuls of inspections, random times of the day. That way we keep the game rooms on their toes. But just in those few days, not including when my NPOs go out individually to check these different locations on their own just to see how many games they have, if they check the state stickers, city stickers, that type of stuff. Just with our details, we probably inspected, I think it's 72 game rooms in the last 2 or 3 months. We've made 31 arrests in that same amount of time for these Tarrant County game room regulations as well. But like Lieutenant Hill said, we'll make an arrest and then we'll come back the next few days, and then the place will be back open again with a new employee working there. However, some of these we've dealt with, made several arrests at 2 or 3 times already, and it appears that some of them are actually shutting down or moving probably to another side of town. I don't know. But we're going to continue to address these game rooms. I can't thank my NPOs enough. They're working super hard with this stuff, coming in at different times of the day so we can work these details. So thank y'all.
While Dorothy's bringing up more questions, I just want to go back and reiterate the My Fort Worth app. If you have a smartphone, I like it so much, so I'm going to repeat it again. It's MYFW, the acronym. If you have a smartphone, download it, please. And if you don't, for those of you that don't, you can call for any of the lighting issues, stop signs, street conditions, what have you. You can dial 817-392-1234. That's 392-1234. Got some more, Dorothy?
This is Cassie Warren.
This question is from Cassie, and it says, I saw cameras going up. What is the long-term plan to monitor these cameras? Chief, you want to speak on that a little bit as far as long-term? We've got quite a few cameras that have been erected here within the division, and they're bearing fruit, which means that to us, we like them. They've been the officers that monitor them, assist the boots on the ground, the patrol officers in the vehicles, coordinating, talking us into issues, crimes that are occurring in real time. So I'm a big fan of these cameras. I mean, we've been very successful in monitoring them. We can always use more, of course, but as far as the money goes, the long term, I'll go ahead and let the chief elaborate if you'd like a little bit on that.
One of the struggles for us with everything we do as a department is balancing the number of personnel, the equipment, and the different tools we use against the tax dollars that we're trusted with to serve the citizens. We would love to put a camera up in every street, on every corner, and as Deputy Chief Sparrow said, have an officer on every corner. Since we're not able to do that, what we do is try to maximize the personnel that we have and the tools that we have. So to monitor the cameras, obviously we need a set of eyes watching monitors. We would like to have more officers doing that full time, but we have been able to take some officers who are maybe injured and not able to do their regular duties in patrol to come in and help out. We've been able to expand things a little bit recently, but we would like to see it expand even more. The reward, if you will, the payoff for these cameras and the personnel that are monitoring them has been extraordinary. We've got a lot of help for the officers who are out on the scene. If a citizen calls up, it's going to take an officer a little while to get there. But if we have a camera up close by and someone watching it, we have eyes on it instantly. The program is amazing, and the more people we can get, the better. But we want to make sure we're using our personnel most effectively. So long term, we want to have more, but we're having to do it incrementally.
And with that said, I just want to remind the citizens watching the programs, our camera registration. A lot of people have Ring cameras. house cameras, please get with your NPO, crime prevention specialist, register your cameras, work with us, because together we're stronger. And engage communities obviously lead to safer communities. So please get engaged. Let's foster those relationships and let's make this city safer.
One of the things that's helping the police department increase, again, eyes in this case, when it comes to cameras, is that the city of Fort Worth has a neighborhood improvement, initiative that's going on. The North Side was a recipient of those millions of dollars to try to improve basic public infrastructure. And it includes, very basic things, but these things interconnect. Sidewalks, better street lighting. Well, you're more likely to walk in your neighborhood if you have a good sidewalk, and you'll feel safer walking if you have good street lighting. It's improving the road surface itself, curbs, gutters, ADA compliance ramps, which are required, but more importantly, there are dollars that have been allocated to add cameras in this area. And we've already seen in other places around the city where this program has been rolled out that crime has begun to drop. Places like Stop 6, Ash Crescent, now the North Side, and the newest program is being rolled out is in Rosemont area. So it is producing measurable results, and it's going to help, not just beautify the area, and I hesitate to use that because it's more than an aesthetic. It's getting into the bones of what stabilizes a neighborhood. Like Mayor Price is, often fond of saying, it's a leg up, right? It's not a handout. It's something to help stabilize the neighborhood so it continues to improve itself. And public safety is a big component of that.
And with the camera registration program that the commander was talking about, just want to reiterate to y'all, it doesn't give us immediate access where we can log in and look at all your cameras, what's going on at any time of the day. What will happen with that is basically if we a report comes in with the crime, it shows the location, okay, this person over here and this person on this block have cameras. And my MPOs read the reports every day as well as the detectives, which they can go back and look onto this camera registration program and see, okay, Bob over here and Tom have cameras on that street. Let's give them a call and see if they will allow us to view the cameras from the time that this offense occurred. That way I just don't want y'all thinking that we're going to log in and be watching everything around your house at all times of the day. It'd be with your permission, come in, meet with you, and then view the footage and see if we can get the actors of these crimes, and which would help the detectives to write warrants and move forward with these cases, just so y'all know.
Before we go to this question is in reference to the My Fort Worth app. Do you want to answer that one, Dorothy? She was asking, does it work on a laptop? One of the viewers is asking. Yes, it does work on a laptop. And once again, I'll repeat the number for those of you that don't have a laptop or a smartphone. It's 817-392-1234. That's 392-1234. And then we'll let Dorothy answer a question from one of the business owners there off of 820 and 35.
Okay, you there? Okay. This is from Homewood Suites by Hilton on Tannacross Drive. She is a member of our business crime watch in that area for the hotels. Her statement is, we're seeing an escalated amount of congregating and foot traffic of individuals in and out of our parking lots community. Guests have notified us that they have been approached by such individuals asking for money, cigarettes, etc., and asked if there is a homeless shelter close by. This has caused us to lose clientele, as they have let us know they don't feel safe at our business. We've had an individual from Casa de Esperanza come to our hotel stating someone sent her to see a lady named Mary, very disoriented. We have experienced an escalated amount of theft in the parking lot, of catalytic converters, mufflers, guest vehicles targeted for theft. With the weekly crime reports, it seems we're seeing an escalation in the type of crimes in our area. There have been several aggravated assaults, robberies, with and without a deadly weapon, and most recently a homicide, actually that's in Haltom City, which is right across beach. Our industry has already been extremely affected by COVID-19, and this makes it even more difficult. I spoke with this manager today. We'll be meeting on Monday with the Haltom City Police Department. They do not have a crime prevention specialist per se. They have an officer who works with their citizens on patrol and an officer who's assigned to their multifamily programming. So my counterpart from West, who is certified in doing what we call SEPTED, environmental assessments, as far as what they can put in place to curtail some of these issues. From what I gathered when I was on site at both Esperanza as well as Quail Trail, we have people who are very vulnerable. So the more we can protect them, there was a criminal element in the area to begin with, and this is just kind of hit it to a head. So we're going to work with Haltom City because we share that jurisdiction. It's just a street between us, and so we will be working at developing more crime watches in that area. It is growing by leaps and bounds. They have apartments and warehouses and so forth. So we're really going to try and get ahead of it. And we wish we could have prevented a homicide like any other homicide in the area. So with that blessing, we will work together with everybody in the room, all the citizens. And the key is keep an eye on your neighbor and report what you see.
I can tell you that we have a new MPO, Officer Van Brunt, in that area, and he's actually working diligently and has been reaching out to the managers of the motel, hotels there in that area, because we have had issues out there with property crime issues and some robberies. We monitor it on a weekly basis. Some of the managers and some of the owners meet with us. Some of them don't have time. Some of them don't make time, but he's still diligent. And like Dorothy said herself, two of the sergeants and the district lieutenant will be out there Monday to meet and coordinate with the surrounding. As you know, Fort Worth surrounds smaller cities that don't have the resources that we have. Therefore, a crime like she said, for example, the homicide that occurred, it occurred in Haltom City, and that's literally just across the street from Fort Worth. And the two juvenile suspects lived in Fort Worth. So I believe that was an isolated incident. They do have a history, but not a violent crime. So we're going to meet with them in reference to that. But the MPO does, on a regular basis, reach out and coordinates meetings. We've even held conferences there in the hotels to try to build the relationships, because the majority of the business owners do cooperate, but it's incumbent upon us to go out and reach out and continue reaching out until we build those relationships, because without their help, we can't do that job. Our midnight officers have been apprised. We communicate across the shifts, first, second, and third shift, and we have of course, the way we communicate in the division, we all have an email distribution group with sergeants, lieutenants, district lieutenants, MPOs, MPO sergeant, and we keep each other apprised of what's going on. And if we have hot spots, they are aware of it, and we attack it right away, and we're also proactive. We know most of the times when property crimes are occurring, holidays come around, big events come into the city, so we're proactive. Not just the Northwest Division, the entire city is proactive. So that's what we're going to continue doing. They're going to meet on Monday. We're going to put our heads together and get the other surrounding cities involved with us as well, because crime doesn't stay. I mean, crime crosses divisional lines, city lines, and so we just have to collaborate more with our sister agencies in order to fight crime. Like I said, that homicide, I believe those two individuals were arrested. They lived in Northwest. The homicide was committed across the street in Haltom City, but they have been arrested.
I'll jump in here and add to what has been said. Commander Criado referred to other events that come to the city that attract other types of crime. One of the more serious types of crime is human trafficking. It does exist. It is there. It's in the underbelly, unfortunately, in all cities, including Fort Worth. The police department is taking a very, proactive role to try to educate hospitality businesses like hotels when these events do come to town, so the employees and managers can identify the telltale signs of that type of activity. The police have held meetings and continue to hold meetings with these operators of the businesses to educate them, to know what to look for, and they educate their employees as well. The MPOs take part in that. Commander Criado has had meetings with businesses here locally in the north side over previously at the Rosemarine Theater. We were trying to sustain and encourage businesses to participate in crime watches. Chief Noakes, in fact, one of the things that impressed me about him when he was our North Division commander, he would have crime watch meetings really, for businesses. We're geared for businesses where we would get together regularly, and those businesses would give input to the officers, and that input was valuable because they could see what crime trends were going on, anticipate where the need for further police monitoring was. Thank you.
I'll elaborate a little bit more on that question. They mentioned catalytic converters, thefts. They've seen some. We've had a trend of catalytic converter thefts throughout the entire city. Actually, that's something that I discussed with our property crimes officers, because I have two metal theft recycling officers they house in the Northwest Division, but they're responsible for the entire city. That's something that's on our plate as well, trying to curtail and prevent it from happening. We have some suspects, but not every crime that's been committed as far as catalytic converters are concerned has been those suspects. So there's various suspect vehicle descriptions, suspects. So it's not like one person or two people or a certain crew committing those crimes. And for those of you, I guess, that don't know, there's precious metals in those catalytic converters. So that's why they're targeting them. The metals in there are expensive. I believe it's platinum's one of them, and iridium, I think. Is it iridium? The other precious metal in them, but they're worth money, so that's why they're targeting them. But obviously somebody's buying them. So once again, as I mentioned before, what's the root of the problem, right? Somebody's requesting it. So we're looking into it. We're doing our best to look into it and hopefully catch who's responsible for committing those cat thefts, short for catalytic converter. Here I'm seeing it's one of the managers from one of the mobile home communities. They want more patrol in their parks. Residents are hesitant to call police. And how do we make them more comfortable to report? Once again, I'll go back to what I said earlier in the forum. It's incumbent upon I guess it's Mrs. or the manager there at the mobile home community. If you're having those issues, please reach out to one of your MPOs, and I'll give you a number. Randy, what's a good number to give? She's viewing and listening, that she can call. Just stand by just a second. We'll get you a good number that you can call, and we can collaborate. We can sit down over coffee. I'll go with the sergeant and the MPO if I have to. Dorothy will come, and we'll figure out a way, put our heads together and come up with an idea to get your residents to not be scared, not to be hesitant, because once again, if you don't call, it's your neighborhood. You got to take that neighborhood, take it back. We're not going to give it to the bad guys. We're here to help, and we want to build that trust. We want to engage, build those relationships, be involved, be there, and once again, if they're that hesitant, you think they're that scared, we won't wear a uniform. We'll come in plain clothes. We'll drink some coffee, have some breakfast. Breaking bread is always the best way to make yourself vulnerable and start those relationships, and let's get everybody to start reporting the issues and their concerns. Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and give you my city cell phone number. It's 817-682-3072. Give me a call. We'll set something up. I can get text message on there too, and then we'll set something up with me. Commander, if he wants, Dorothy, the MPOs, where we can go out and talk. Like Commander said, sit down, build that relationship up, and get people to start calling us and letting us know what's going on in the community.
Probably like many of you here and many that are watching at home, I've been a victim of crime myself. I remember one time I had my house broken into, and I didn't like that my property was taken, but for me it was the fact that the stranger was in my home. And that's an odd feeling. So I called the police. I made a report because that's just what I felt safe doing. I was talking with someone today, though, and we were discussing the fact that there are members of the community in Fort Worth that do not feel safe calling the police. And a lot of times maybe they said there's a lot of neighborhoods, and he specifically talked about Northside, where we have people who may not feel safe calling the police because maybe they're not from here, maybe their country they're from, the police were corrupt, and they expect the same thing here. Or maybe that person is concerned about their citizenship status or lack thereof. One thing I want to make very clear is the Fort Worth Police Department is here to serve everyone, regardless of your zip code, regardless of the language you speak, regardless of whether or not you speak English. We're here to serve everyone. And it breaks my heart to think that there are people right now, say a man, a husband and father who has his week's pay stolen, he's robbed, but he's afraid to call the police. Maybe we have a young mother and wife who's being abused, but she will not call because she doesn't feel safe calling the Fort Worth police. Or heaven forbid, we have a young lady who's a victim of human trafficking, but doesn't feel safe calling the Fort Worth police. That breaks my heart. I can tell you right now, you have a deputy chief and a commander, district lieutenants, sergeants, officers that are here to serve you. For those who are at home and don't know, we have our entire gang unit here, and they're not here to arrest anyone. They're not here to look for tattoos or run your name. They're here because they want to show they're here to support you. They're here to serve you. They're here to make your community safe. And as we had beforehand with Chief Krause, you continue to have a chief of police who is here to serve everyone, regardless of what differences or similarities we have, because guess what? I guarantee you, we have a lot more similarities than we do differences. Please call us if you're a victim of crime. That's why we're here.
We'll go back to the question, how do we make our people report? I will say this, and the reason I'm going to add this is because Roxanne had another good question here. And it reminds me of a story with Roxanne, a conversation we had not too long ago. If people are scared, they're hesitant to call the officers they may see patrolling their area or the officers they see on a daily basis. Like I told Roxanne one time, she was telling me that she talks to some of her friends and they ask her, how do you get the police to do everything that you ask them to do within your division, in the Northwest Division? And she says, I ask. You know, plus we have the relationship. She tells them to ask. And so my answer to that, and it's related to that same question, how do we get them to report? I told Roxanne, if they're hesitant and they're afraid to call their divisional commander, their divisional MPO, we're all on the same team, regardless of what division, specialized division, patrol division. If it's something that's occurring in Southside, South Division, and they're more comfortable calling me, call me. I'll take care of it. I mean, I'm not bound by the Northwest Divisional lines. Happens on a daily basis. I'll take care of something. I'm not going to delegate. I'm not going to sit there and put them off. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make sure it gets done. So whether you're East Division, North Division, West Division, South Division, Central Division, to those people, they may know somebody, and for the most part, they might know a police officer on the police department that they know and they're familiar and comfortable with. Reach out to that individual. Regardless of what specialized unit, patrol division they work in, reach out to them. But if not, get with your crime prevention specialist. They're in plain clothes. They can relay it to that officer, to that supervisor. We can come in plain clothes, break bread. That's the only way we're going to do it, is we got to build those relationships. That's the only way we can do it. We want to break down that barrier. I can say the majority of the MPOs in Northwest Division, of course, COVID put a halt on it, because people are scared during this crisis. But prior to it and after it passes, we're going to continue it. We've had meetings, and I've told the MPOs here in the Northwest Division, that patrol car is a barrier, in my opinion. Yes, you can go park in that community center parking lot. You can park in the church parking lot. But if you sit in that vehicle, it's still a barrier. We encourage, the supervisors, the chiefs, for those officers to get out of that vehicle, get out, talk, shake hands, as if those were your family members. That's how you build those relationships, and that's what we're striving to do, and that's the culture that we're creating within the Fort Worth Police Department, not just this division. But I will say that my MPOs are good at that. In the summertime, springtime, they're driving down the street, they see somebody. That's a good way to break the ice, to meet the people in your neighborhood. That may be a family having that cookout that she's referring to, that they're afraid to reach out. They're scared, they're hesitant, and that's how you break the ice. That's how you build that relationship, because we are human. So we're just like them. They just don't realize it. This uniform can intimidate. No matter how cordial you are, that vehicle is definitely a barrier. That's why I encourage the officers that I work with to get out of that car. Walk. Officer Skelton, Maggie can attest to that. One time, they got out in sub 30-degree weather, huh, Maggie? Maggie, remember that? It was really cold, but they did it, and they got out and knocked on doors. That's how you build those relationships. So those are some ideas. For those of you that do reach out, do have a current relationship with your police officers, MPOs, relay that information. For those of you watching, we're here for you. We work for you. So please don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. Report. Let us know what's going on, and we're here to help you. Roxanne has another question here. Northwest Division has done a great job engaging with high school students and the community. What is the Fort Worth PD and the City of Fort Worth doing to help recruit a diverse police force and more officers from our communities? I'm going to let the chief talk a little bit on this one at the end, but I want to start off by first and foremost thanking Roxanne. Roxanne, thank you very much for everything that you do within the community. Roxanne, for those of you who don't know Roxanne, and for those of you viewing here that are present today, Roxanne is from the area. She's from the capital of Fort Worth as well, like I am, Diamond Hill. For those of you that don't know, that is the capital of Fort Worth. Roxanne just takes it upon herself. She cares about our future, and our future are the youth, the kids. And I'll segue into the second part of the question with that as far as diverse recruiting. I've never been directly involved. I've been in other assignments, but I plan on hopefully maybe helping out in the future. But I'm a firm believer in homegrown recruiting here within our city, within our neighborhoods. Yes, we want to go out of state. We want to spend some money, go to the militaries, go to the universities. We want educated people, but I'm a firm believer in homegrown individuals can do the job, do it really well, just like anybody else. So for those of you that may be afraid or have family members that are afraid of police, I'm going to challenge you as well. You have a nephew, you have a son, you have a brother, sister, niece, that you know them personally. If you know them, a family member that would make a good police officer, I'm challenging you to have them reach out to an MPO, to have them reach out to our recruiter. Apply. You can do it. You're from here. We have tons of officers that work on our police department that were born and raised in this city. So that's what we need, in my opinion. Of course, there's budget. With any efforts, there's money involved. And then more personnel to start a large recruiting unit. I don't know what it entails now, so that's why the part I'm going to let the chief talk about. But once again, I challenge you, the citizens of this city. You have family members that you know that can do this job and do it exceptionally well, represent the city that we live in, reflect the city that we live in. That's what we want the police department to be as well. We want to look like each other, talk like each other, build relationships, and recruiting minorities is a challenge. I can tell you right now, we need more minority. I'll talk about that elephant in the room. I'm sure the chief will as well, Carlos will. We need it. If you have suggestions, reach out, let us know. But I'll start by challenging you. You have a family member or you know of someone that's fully capable. And it's become even more challenging now with the national rhetoric, the unfortunate incidents that have occurred that involve police across the nation. But ultimately, the police department is here to help you. You know, we try to build that culture here in the Fort Worth Police Department, and we stress it and we stress it. I know I do in roll calls. The sergeants, the lieutenants that have worked with me in this division, they know we do it. It may sound cliche-ish, but treat people like you want to be treated. Treat every citizen encounter like that's your family member, and you won't ever get complained on, period. That's somebody's mom, somebody's sister, somebody's father, brother. And I think if we go about it that way, and we do, not just Northwest Division, the entire city does, I think we're leading by example, and we're going to continue leading by example and getting better. And the only way we can get better is by your feedback, your questions. We want to hear the bad things, not just the good things. To be honest with you, we'd rather just hear the bad things. I mean, you can tell us about the good things, we like that too, but we want to hear the bad things. What are we doing wrong? Don't be afraid to let us know, because that's the only way we're going to get better. And together with you, we can get better. Provide the best quality service that we can. We are, in my opinion, of course I'm biased, you know, the best police department in the nation, in my opinion. But we can still get better. Nobody's perfect. We're going to work on it. So with that, Chief, I'll let you talk a little bit about your ideas on recruiting and budget.
First of all, you're right. We do have the best department in the nation, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not even close. We've got the best officers, we've got the best civilian employees, we've got the best volunteers. But being the best department, we do know that we can be better. One thing we need to do better is diversity. We do not reflect the makeup of the city of Fort Worth in the Fort Worth Police Department. And yes, it is harder to recruit the diversity we want to see in the department, but that's an excuse. We have to find a way to get around it. And I want to commend, for those of you who don't know, some of you may, Assistant Chief Julie Swearingen. She started a campaign recently called Be the Change. I challenge you to look that up. Be the Change. And what she is doing is, similarly to what Commander Criado said, is we're reaching out to people who want to see the department change. It's a lot easier to change from the inside. If you want to see a change, then come join us, be a part of the change. Her efforts so far seem to be paying some pretty good dividends. She's being very proactive about reaching out to diverse groups of people who have applied. One, to make sure they're serious. Two, to make sure they're diligent and stick with it. And three, to make sure that they're prepared. She'll even call to make sure they show up on the day of the test. She is taking a very personal approach to this, and I believe it's that personal touch that we needed to make this successful. We're going to want to try to reach out more with the communities as well, because sometimes we assume we know what the community wants or what the community needs when all we have to do is ask. There are things we can do better to make sure we're providing the type of incentives to draw the type of people we need, and with smart people like Assistant Chief Swearingen working on these initiatives, I see them paying off in big ways in the very near future.
I'm going to take a little time here to, oh, I'm sorry, Chief, go ahead.
We also have the Explorer program, and what that is high school, junior high school age young people can get involved to learn about the police force. And it's a good thing because it keeps them involved in something. They'll learn, they'll know police officers, they'll get to know them, and they'll spend time with them, and it helps them to prepare in the future. it shows them not to be afraid of us. It kind of shows them what we do. They go through certain physical things as well as they learn certain things, and it's a sense of pride for them. So if somebody is interested in the police force, call our training division, and young people, they can get involved in the Explorers, and it keeps them busy. It's something to keep them busy. Usually these kids are good kids. They turn out to be good kids. They do their schoolwork and things such as that. And Commander Criado is really involved in the PAL program. We have our PAL program for young people to get involved in things, because it's important for us. If we want to recruit young people in the future, they need to understand that we're not scary. We're human beings. We put on a suit every day. We want to serve. We put on our suit to help serve our community, to help serve our citizens. But that being said, we're fathers and we're mothers, we're husbands and we're wives, we have children just like you do. And we have mothers and fathers. We have people that we care about. We're human beings. And I try to say that sometimes to make people understand that we're a lot like you are. But we're trained to do a job, and we're trained to be guardians of the community, to work with you to help make a safe community. So just realize this. If you are at school, and we can have our NPOs visit your school and talk to your young people, because we don't want us to appear to be scary. A lot of people are telling their young people that police officers are scary in some way, and we want them to understand that we're there for them. When they're in trouble or when they need somebody, we want them to run to us. And the only way to do that is for them to become familiar with us, to form relationships like Commander Criado has been talking about. We need to form those relationships. So give us a chance to do that. And like I said, your young people, your children, it may be scary for you to think of them becoming a police officer, but we're trained well. We're trained to protect ourselves and protect one another and protect the community. We're trained to do these things. So all these things are there to protect them, but it's a very honorable career. So, and that being said from a black young man, so not quite young anymore. But anyway, just wanted to say that.
I'll add a little tidbit to the discussion on recruitment and training. It is very important, not just to merely keep the police department staffed, but have, as we've all been talking about, very qualified candidates that reflect the communities that they serve, in order to foster that trust that we speak about and strive to achieve through community policing. To give an idea how the city of Fort Worth funds that, the recruitment and training budget comes from two sources: the CCPD, the Crime Control and Prevention District, which the overwhelming majority of you all voted to support again, and it now enjoys a 10-year renewal. That has been consistently a very effective tool to provide funding and resources for the police department, for our growing city. We're the 13th largest city in the nation, and we're growing very rapidly. Even with the effects of COVID, that shows no sign of stopping. So the CCPD budget is approximately $78 million, and 8% attributes to the recruitment and training part, with the other remaining portion coming from the general fund. And the general fund is approximately $718 million. And again, it sounds like a lot of money, but the needs are large across departments, including the police department. We also recognize that we need more officers, and we're working to try to do that within our budgetary constraints. On council, we do recognize that need, and we're trying to achieve it in a fiscally responsible manner, and also with the sensitivities of what we're hearing from our constituents. So we're trying to balance all that out so that we can deliver effective policing and a balanced budget.
Sorry. Before I go on to the next. before I go on to the next question, I just wanted to take a brief moment just to harp on the troops, on the boots on the ground in the entire city, the specialized units to patrol. They've been doing an outstanding job, and you can see the chiefs up here and myself and some of the supervisors. Without the officers out there doing the work, we're not going to be successful. So we give credit to all the officers, all the boots on the ground, the specialized units. I appreciate the communication that we have. We communicate with the specialized units on a weekly basis, on the meetings, the crime meetings that the chiefs put together. So we're working together, and all the credit goes to those officers and the boots on the ground, because they're the ones that work those late hours. They come in overnight. We ask them to work overtime, a special detail, and they do it without hesitation. So I just want to say thank you. There's officers out there watching, to the officers that are here, and to the supervisors with those specialized units. Thank you, guys. I'm glad we got this question, because Lieutenant Antoine thought he was going to get out of here without saying anything. What is the gang situation on the north side, specifically northwest, and what kind of criminal behavior is gang related that's going on in this area? Can you elaborate a little bit, please, Antoine? Thank you very much.
Okay, specifically the gangs that we have historically on Northwest would be our Vardio Diamond Hill. I go into a little detail as far as the colors that they wear. Their normal colors are blue, black, or blue and gray, and their normal hand signals is diamonds or hillside. And also that's the location between Decatur Avenue and Dean Road and Terminal Road and East Long Avenue. We also have a Vardio Northside, VNS. Their colors is maroon. Their symbol is VN for Vardio Northside and 13. And their area is Northwest 28th Street, Grand and Jacksboro Highway, all the way to Decatur. Then you have Northside Fortray Crips. Their colors is baby blue, Carolina blue, and their symbols is the NC and the Fortray, and their area is Angle Avenue, Decatur Avenue, and 26th Street and Long Avenue. Notable mentions, we have prison gang is Puerto Tango Blast. Their symbols is Dallas Cowboys Star, Famous F, Fortos or /Forritos or PTB. And they also is Vardio 15th Street. They normally wear like gray pants, black shirt, and the symbols is a 1-5. And we have an up-and-coming gang, Los Homeboys. We've been seeing some tagging on that, so we're monitoring that as well. Their colors is black and gray. Unknown of their area right now. Their symbols is LHB with the 13. We also have our outlaw motorcycle gangs that's actually in the Stockyards area. Mongols, they have the black and white cuts that says Mongols on top and Texas on bottom, with the guy riding a motorcycle in the centerpiece. Outcast, it's black and white cuts, says Outcast, OUTCAST on top and Texas on bottom, with the black iron cross and skull in the front of black iron cross as a centerpiece. And we had a Los Homeboys Motorcycle Club, which is a dark brown cut, says Homeboys on top and Texas on bottom, with the big star down the skyline on top of the star, and the male face at the bottom of the star as a centerpiece. And they typically hang out in the Stockyards or frequent Wilson's Leather at 2225 North Main. Commander Criado had spoke about our specialized unit. This is just a small portion of our gang unit. We have 2 enforcement teams, Team 1 and 2, which comprise of one team is 9 and one is, one team is 8 and one is, they're both broke down into 8 with a corporal and 2 sergeants. We also have our prevention intervention enforcement team and Sergeant Mapes, and what their primary duties is, we kind of changed their responsibilities up, because at first it was just intervention prevention, where they mainly focused on reforming kids that's in gangs and trying to get them resources to get out of gangs. So now we added another element to their responsibilities. So not only do they liaison back and forth with the SROs. They also reach out to the NPOs as well and work with our detectives and our intel guys to actually do intel and work on any kind of gang-related shootings that happen during the day when our enforcement team is off during the night, because we all know that gang crime doesn't stop just because gang enforcement is off. So we want to make sure that we're available throughout the week, day and night for our city and our citizens. We also have 4 detectives that are not here right now, and also 4 intel officers. And their main focus is they gather all the information from the boots on the ground that's out there that interview these gang members and take photos of their tattoos, their colors, and we get all their history and their locations, what areas they're in. We study their tags that they do when they spray paint graffiti on things. And so we just try to connect the dots with these people. And like I said, our main focus is trying to get these guys off of the streets. Those that can be reformed, we get them the help that they need, and those that can't, they come to see us. But back to our prevention, intervention, enforcement team, they're not always dressed in the black. They dress in stuff like this or either in plain clothes. So anytime y'all have a question or want to meet, just contact myself. My phone number is 682-774-2488. And I can set up a meeting. We can meet in plain clothes like this for breakfast, lunch. Y'all let me know. Our job is to help the city and make everybody feel safe. If you see these guys out on the street and they're wearing black, don't be intimidated. They're human just like you are. They would love to talk to anybody, you know. We're friendly. We got a job to do, and our job is to keep you guys safe.
Thank you, Lieutenant. With that, I know in other parts of the city that we've had a slight uptick in violent personal crime, and some of that violent crime is related to gang. I know in Northwest Division we hadn't had any trends in gang-related violent crime, but what have you seen in our division, Lieutenant, as far as gang-related crime in the past here in the division? Or
Say again, sir?
as far as the gang-related crime, I know we haven't had any trends here in Northwest Division, but anything offhand? This is the second part of her question, was the criminal behavior. Is anything
absolutely. Most recently, we had a situation where a citizen actually called in and complained about a guy that was firing a firearm at some construction workers. So that our guys got out and did surveillance and was able to make a traffic stop and get this guy in custody, and they found him with drugs as well as a firearm. So we're working on a case with him right now. We've also had an aggravated assault deadly weapon involving a Vadio Diamond Hill and PTB, Puro Tango Blast. Also, we've had several. We had a unlawful carrying of a weapon, and that was from an outcast OMG motorcycle gang, outlaw motorcycle gang. And we also had an unlawful possession of a firearm by a PTB member as well as a deadly conduct and discharge of a firearm. So there is activity, but right now, other sides of town, there's a little more active as far as gang involvement. But we're out there. We have division monitors in place. So whenever we may have officers that are mainly predominantly on the south and the east side, but we have division monitors to monitor the activity that's over here in the northwest side. And if it's something that requires a large number of us to respond, we'll go and address that crime.
Thank you, Lieutenant, and you actually covered the most recent incident, and you guys did an outstanding job apprehending that individual. And I will say that it's not per se gang-related crime as much as it is gang members committing crimes of that nature, as the individual that the lieutenant was speaking about, approaching construction workers and trying to antagonize and firing shots and threatening, and they did an outstanding job apprehending that individual in the division, so that was great. We also, gang members, and not just gang members, but crosses over to narcotics. So I want to give Lieutenant Smith from our narcotics division a little bit of time so that he can speak on some of their efforts, not just in Northwest, but maybe the entire city, or any issues that he thinks that he's seen here in the Northwest division related to narcotics.
Right, thank you. So narcotics consisted of 5 teams. We have 3 local teams here which deal with the narcotics, obviously in Fort Worth, and we have 2 teams that are attached to a DEA. We have a HIDA group and a DEA HIDA group, and obviously those groups will work with the more of a larger scale drug dealers to address the issues that are coming to Fort Worth. In terms of location, I'm sure every neighborhood is plagued with some type of narcotics of some sort. I would ask that if you have an issue, reach out to your MPOs, and for a couple of reasons. Just to make them aware that there's a drug location in their neighborhood, and also they're very helpful for us too to provide additional details related to the narcotics activity. So we're trying to make sure that we spend our time focusing on drug dealers and not necessarily drug users, because that could be handled by the patrol officer and also the MPOs. In terms of drugs, I think the trend now is methamphetamine. I'm sure everybody's kind of aware of that. This kind of transition to methamphetamine. You don't see as much cocaine as you used to in the past, but it's still out there. Marijuana is also a big issue as well. It's larger amounts of marijuana and the currency associated with that. So again, if you have an issue with a drug house or something like that, reach out to your MPOs. Or again, like the TIPS number, I'll give that again. It's 817-378-1500.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Dorothy, do you know if we have any more questions? Anybody here have any other questions you may want to ask while we're here? Yes, ma'am.
Who do we contact to find out the typical behavior of narcotics in the neighborhood? Who do I call to say, hey, I know something there in narcotics looking?
The question was, who do you contact if you see any criminal activity related to narcotics type behavior, or you may suspect is narcotics related? And I believe that was a number that the lieutenant, so I'll let him give it to you one more time.
Yeah, again, I would suggest if you know who your MPO is, reach out to your MPO, because a lot of times they can vet that information to determine, like I said, if it's going to be a house that's dealing narcotics, or if it's just maybe a vacant house where people are actually going there to use narcotics. So again, we want to make the distinction of trying to address drug dealers and not necessarily drug users, even though the drug users probably present an issue in your neighborhood as well, but I think that could be probably better handled by either the MPO or even code compliance if it's a substandard structure.
I can't stress enough, though, regardless of whether you think it's narcotics activity or not, if you think it's suspicious, if you're worried about it, call your MPO. Call a non-emergency number. I prefer you, if you could, get to know who your MPO is. Once again, if you don't know your crime prevention specialist or your MPO, you can find out on the website. If you don't have access to a computer, you can call 911 or the non-emergency number and ask for your MPO to come to your address. So if it bothers you, we want to address it. Nothing is too small, okay? Anybody else? If we don't have any other questions, I just want to thank the people that showed up in person for this community forum. We appreciate you. Once again, please reach out to your friends and neighbors, invite them to the next one. I know this was a challenge due to the times that we're in, this COVID crisis, but please encourage your neighbors, encourage your family, encourage your friends, and especially the people that don't feel that they can trust the police or not comfortable with the police. Encourage them to meet with us. Because once again, together, I mean, we have to do it together. We have to engage communities, lead to safer communities. It's your neighborhood. You live here. It's our city. Let's take control of it, keep control of it, and make sure it's safe for all of us. I want to thank Dorothy for assisting. You're tremendous in everything you do, our crime prevention specialist, the chiefs that came here today, and the supervisors from the specialized units. I appreciate you. This isn't always a top fun thing to do on our list, but we're here, and I appreciate you guys. The gang unit, I appreciate you for being here as well. All the MPOs, man, I can't speak enough about the MPOs. They're just tremendous. The MPOs in Northwest Division, I task them with a lot. I put a lot on their plate, and they never complain. They're outstanding. The citizens of the Northwest Division have some outstanding MPOs, and I can't stress that enough. Our audio video personnel from the chief's office, thank you for being here. Always appreciate you guys for helping out. And if you didn't get a chance to email in a question or you didn't have a chance to be present today in person, please email the same email that was provided, and we can just answer individual questions via email, phone number, ask for phone number if you want my phone number, any of the chief's phone numbers up here, or any of the specialized units. If you didn't catch a phone number that was given here, you missed some of the information that was given out this evening, please just email. You want to remain anonymous, you can. We'll just call and have a discussion over the phone. Doesn't have to be in person. But again, please, back to recruiting, encourage. You know somebody, friend, family member that can do this job. It's a rewarding career. For the majority of us that do wear the uniform, we get that satisfaction and that warm, fuzzy feeling because we help somebody. I know it may sound cliche-ish, but that's why we do it. Not very many people want to do it, but it's a good career. It's a rewarding career. But like I said, you know people that would be good at it, so please help us with recruiting. That's a challenge for us, not just here, but nationwide. Encourage somebody to apply. Chief?
Thank you for everyone who either attended or watched virtually, for caring enough about your community to want to know and want to be informed. We encourage you to get active in your community. We have several opportunities for you to be active within the Fort Worth Police Department as well, through several volunteer opportunities, and your MPOs can provide a wealth of information about that. We want you engaged. We want you to be part of the conversation. We want you to be part of the family, and we can only do that if we're able to connect. So please connect with us and let us know what we can do to serve you better. Thank you.
And just remember that we need you to get involved as well. As much as possible, we need you to get involved. A lot of times people think the police can do it all, and I try to be an honorable man. I try to be a man who tells the truth. I can't promise you the moon if I can't deliver it. So the thing is, when you work with us, because we can't be everywhere at once, there's no way possible that we can be everywhere at once and see everything. So we need you to be our eyes and ears. We need you to work with us. If you can get to know your neighbors, develop the Crime Watch group, get involved in Code Blue, get to know your NPO. All those things are important. All those things are important. If you're an apartment community, make sure that your people who are there, the employees as well as the residents, are vigilant, watchful, that their eyes are open, that they get together and they talk about crime, that they watch out for one another. And if at all possible, get some type of security there. Just having eyes out there may stop some of the petty crime that people do. There's a scripture that says, men love darkness because their deeds are evil. And you can take that literally, that when somebody's not watching, people who are bad do bad things because of opportunity. But layers of protection, eyes watching, lights on, things such as that. You can talk to your NPO, and he or she can tell you some of the things that you can do to deter crime and to be a tougher target. And that's what it's all about. When you're out at the store, go out with a partner. Don't go out by yourself. Those are things that you can do to protect yourself and to help us, because we can't be there all the time. But we'll be there as much as we possibly can, because that's what we love doing. So you have a very, very active commander here. You have very, very active officers who work this area. You have a very, very active councilman. You have a chief who cares. I know the man. He's a personal friend of mine, Chief Noakes, and he cares. He cares about his job. He's very proactive. So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of people here who want to do well. All of these people up here and the officers that are out here, we want to help you. But you got to give us a chance. But you have to help us. So that's part of it. We need to work with you. This is what community policing is all about, to make your area safe.
Again, I want to reiterate and thank all of you, here in person or virtually for attending. It's very important that you hear from your police department, that you hear from your elected representatives when it comes to those issues that are near and dear to your heart, and that's your safety, whether it be your own home, whether it be your community safety, whatever the case is, we're all in this together. And at the city, we work collaboratively. And what that means is, in addition to working from department to department, from city council to departments, we want to work with you all. We need your input. We're trying to be, improving in those areas with each passing day. We do really mean it when we seek, your opinions on things. We made some great changes, I think, at the city level, to increase that public trust, in the police department and in what we're doing. So I want to commend and thank, Chief Noakes for being here tonight, Commander Criado for getting this forum together, for Deputy Chief Sparrow, Lieutenant Hill, Sergeant Molina, everyone that's in back of me right here, because again, we're all part of a team. To the gang unit SRTs, the NPOs, we each play a vital and important part in making Fort Worth really the best city, in the nation. And I do believe that. I'm proud of our town, and we can make it better, and we will make it better together.